Hi guys, my name is Sascha. I'm going to speak English, but is anyone here from Germany? Okay. Is anyone here from Bavaria? You? Okay. So I'm from Germany, but not from Bavaria. And someone promised me I can have a beer all the time, and it's almost 4 o'clock and still no beer. I'm so disappointed. Anyway, I'm Sascha, the SolarWinds dude. Who here knows SolarWinds? Okay. Who of the 3, 4 knows SolarWinds from anything else but network monitoring? No one, and here we go. Okay, so we do a little bit more than just taking care of networks meanwhile. And what I have here today is a real-world example. So usually it's the second time that I'm presenting this. I use a live version because I would have a little bit more time. Today I'm a bit limited, 15 minutes. So I use a deck, but you can come upstairs. We sit there for a little bit more details, okay? So, yes, this is actually me. The picture was before COVID. Look what happened to me. It's like, it's so unfortunate. So, let's talk about full stack versus end-to-end. I think everyone here had the end-to-end version today already, okay? We had a hot dog from A to B. We usually use this to get a feeling of how customers would use an application. Whatever you do, that is end-to-end. But we have the full stack version. And full stack on the left-hand side is getting more and more important. Because a couple of years ago, full stack only meant we had a couple of bare metal things, maybe a hypervisor in between, an application database, that's it. But today, we live in a far more complicated world. So everything is decentralized, everything is moving on. We have a couple of containers in between. So everything gets very, very complicated. But still, we have layers. So we start somewhere at the bottom. The bottom, do I have my laser thingy here? The bottom is this nice toast. By the way, I have a cat. If you have something like this, cats love it, okay? So, let's talk about the platform. So I'm obviously using a SolarWinds example, but even if you don't use SolarWinds, maybe use Manage Engine or whatever you guys do, Logic Monitor, the concept is always the same. We have to get data from the platform into the system. For us, this is very, very simple. We use an API-driven process. So you just click into AWS. This is an AWS example. It works exactly the same with Azure. Don't worry about it. And we get a lot of information from the whole infrastructure there using an API. In fact, we built everything based on CloudWatch, and we get the standard metrics from CloudWatch, plus a couple of extras. Extras coming in a second. One important thing, though, I don't know if you ever dealt with this. There's 2 different ways to get data out of AWS, streaming versus polling. Streaming is a little bit more close to real time, but it is a little bit more taxing on the whole infrastructure. While polling happens in a set of time, and you control the set of time. You want it each 10 seconds? Fine. You want it each 2 minutes? Fine. It's up to you. It's a case-by-case decision what you are going to use. It's important that whatever vendor you choose supports both. So layer 1, the platform. Let's move on. Layer 2 would be instances or hosts. And this could be anything. In my example, again, this is an AWS instance. That could very well be something that sits on VMware. Hey, who is here still on VMware? Tough luck. Yeah. Okay. It could be anything. So we would actually deploy an agent on the instance. And the agent is pretty cool because the agent converts everything into OpenTelemetry and sends this to our instance. So we get a lot of information from physical resources or assigned resources to the instance. We got a lot of information from the operating system, and we will understand if everything works the way it's supposed to do. Very simple. And optional, maybe you want logs. Most of you probably want logs. And you're probably aware that when we retrieve this information via agent, again, keep in mind polling versus streaming. And this is synchronous data, while a log is asynchronous. But I suppose everyone here is long enough in the business to understand the differences. So we have the platform, we have the instances, a host. Let's move one up, another layer. This is additional information that could potentially come from the operating system. We see a couple of health scores here at the left-hand side. And what we see is connected data dots. So we have an operating system, and somewhere is storage. Somewhere is maybe a VM. In this example, it is virtual machines. Could be Kubernetes, could be anything else. And again, we talk about an agent. When we talk with, let's stick to VMware, we would use an API to talk to VMware. When we deal with Kubernetes, we talk with OpenTelemetry again. So whatever it is, the system picks the data and it drags everything into the system, what you might need or want. Now things get a little bit more interesting. We have the couple layers that are sorted to infrastructure. And now we talk about application performance management. I think my example here is basically from a WordPress. So I used a live WordPress to make sure that everyone understands what it is. So we get a lot of PHP information here. For us, it is just one of many frameworks that we just attach to with a couple of mouse clicks. It could be Ruby on Rails, could be .NET, anything. And we get a lot of information on it. And if anyone here ever has seen how PHP acts in the background, it is scary. PHP is throwing error, 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 error. Up until this day, I have no idea how PHP is actually working. It's so many errors. When you see this for the first time, it's really crazy. Anyway, we would see what is happening inside the application. In a WordPress scenario, we would see that a blog post or a website is being opened. We would see what external resources are there. Maybe it is an online shop, whatever it is. So we would see payment processes running in the background as the payment version for WordPress, I think it's called WooCommerce, but I'm not an expert on that. So we see everything that's happening inside the framework. Okay? And this is very basic application performance management. Time-wise, okay. So everyone has a database sitting in the background. There's usually two different ways. The database might be hosted, so it could be something that is hosted in a VM, whatever. In my example, it is actually a MariaDB, no MySQL, but it could be something in Aurora or whatever it is. Okay? So here we use an agent. If it's a database that is managed by the cloud provider, by the hyperscaler, we use again OpenTelemetry, or maybe we use an account. We could use an account on a database with read-only permissions that retrieves statistics. We would get query weight information, we would get the plan execution, and see what's going on inside the database. The good thing is, and I hope that still makes sense, it is everything in the same platform. So everything I talked so far is the same platform. Keep that in mind. Again, for a database, you maybe want to control the logs. And depending on how the database is set up, you maybe want to also check for permissions, who accessed the database. We can do that too. So what comes next? Web performance, something very simple. This is, are you guys okay? Do you know what that largest content paint? Is anyone who does not know? Okay, most know what it is, okay. So this is an Apache. Could be an Nginx, could be an IIS, whatever it is. We get this information again from an agent that sits on the operating system. And this is real user information. So again, not much happening here. This is a little system that I set up. And if this would be a website that's critical to your business, it would obviously look a little bit different. Again, the same system. We're moving up in the stack. It's a live system. I can show you upstairs how it looks when it's working. This one here is user experience. What we do here is kind of a synthetic way to get a feeling, how does it feel like for the users? It's very simple. Imagine you have a browser and you go to a website, and wherever you click, it's recording the steps, and we play this as a recording from various locations around the globe. So we can assess the performance of a couple of steps from Munich, from Dubai, from London, whatever. We can also record screenshots, and we have a logic that identifies if the screenshot is still the same or if it would throw an error. If there would be an error, so maybe password is wrong in this example, we could generate an alert. This is pretty cool. I actually used this the other day to get tickets for a concert, but that's a different story. Okay, user experience. I have 3 more minutes. There's a couple of things here. So this is a SaaS platform, and we are probably able to replace 80% of observability solutions out there. Sounds like a massive statement. Yes, I'm the SolarWinds dude, but this is actually true. Keep in mind, in your organizations, how many different solutions do you use to control of your environment? When we look at a typical IT, we have different teams. This one here is a Cloud Native Summit, so I'm assuming we have a lot of developers here, we have cloud architects here. Anyone here a network engineer? No one. Okay, I'm a former network engineer. And we all have heard the saying, it is always the network. You've heard that, right? As a network engineer, I say it is never the network, it is always the database. Is there a database engineer here, the database administrator? No, very good, because it's always their fault when something doesn't work. And we have the server admin, we have security teams, we have so many different groups in IT. And when something breaks, it is always someone else's problem, isn't it? It's like, I don't want to deal with this. My world is fine. So there's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of finger pointing whose problem it is. And that is a huge waste of time. And it's causing a lot of stress because you fight instead of, or argue, instead of solving the problem. With this platform-based approach that we have, we bring people together. We use different technology to talk to different layers in IT, and we show who is the resolver group. And we allow that group to dig into the details. If it's a platform, if it's a network, if it's a database. Everyone has access to the same data, and that is really huge. You might sit here and think like, okay, my world is just AWS, my world is just Kubernetes. But just think a little bit bigger. We all work for organizations, and back in the days, we as IT people just supported the business. But nowadays, we actually run it. No business can exist without IT. Keep that in mind, and when something breaks, check if it's really your fault or someone else's fault. Okay, I have 30 more seconds. Anyone has a question? I'm getting paid by questions. Does anyone have a question? No? Does anyone have a beer for me? No? Okay. Well, if you guys have more questions or you want to see this whole system in live, actually, usually I show the system live. This is how it looks like, okay? At the left-hand side, we see all these different areas. SolarWinds Observability exists in a SaaS version. This is the SaaS version. And we have this whole thing as an on-prem version too for regulated environments. You will find me upstairs. I'm glad that no one fell asleep. You look a bit tired. Okay, okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you.